with an M60 on your back or something like that. But really, being a warrior is just facing challenges and pushing through, facing challenges and not relenting. That could be, a challenge at your job. It could be a challenge in your personal life. It could be a challenge academically, a test or something like that. Challenge yourself to break through at a new level for testing. It could be a whole bunch of stuff. But throughout those different types of scenarios and situations where you are quote unquote warring, you are doing something that is very vital to your character and very vital to you achieving things in life. So let me start with a few anecdotes. I've thought of some different famous warriors throughout history, throughout different time periods. One warrior I was thinking about was Miyamoto Musashi. He's a famous swordsman. He has very cool quotes such as, what's this for one quote he has? Generally speaking, the way of the warrior is resolute acceptance of death. And basically, once you accept that you can die or you may die, well, all of us are going to die at some point. So the importance of being able to accept death. Hey, Larissa, how you doing? It puts things in context for you. It adds a little fire to your belly. At the same time, it doesn't make you apprehensive of death because you are aware that it is a very real possibility and you prepare for it. Preparing for death can mean a whole bunch of different things. For me, it means preparing myself to live life fully. To live life fully, that means, trying to make myself happy, healthy, interacting with people sincerely. It also means preparing myself to deal with people who may want to take my life. That means studying, training, doing physical exercises so that my body is adept with handling physical conflict. I'm going to take it towards the physical realm for a little bit. One thing that a lot of people do in life, which is surprising to me, they go through life very meekly, very timid. And that's not a way to live, being afraid to interact with people, being afraid to go certain places. Now, being afraid is one thing, being conscious of threats is another thing. So I'm not talking about, being foolhardy and bravado and not being afraid of stuff. Yes. So we have someone on Instagram who stated that just the mindset is the most important thing for being a warrior. And then once you have the mindset, your actions go and follow that. So going back to the thing I was talking about preparing yourself for certain things. You should never be in the nipple twister is a very tried and true fight ender. So going back to preparing yourself for war. I've done self-defense classes where I was teaching a young lady. She was working late at night. She was concerned about someone possibly trying to sexually assault her or kidnap her. And she said, hey, can you help me train on martial arts, et cetera, on how to protect myself from, someone trying to assault me, rape me, kidnap me, et cetera, et cetera. So I said, most important thing is a mindset. You have to be willing to, how far are you determined to make sure that you get home? Some people are, not willing to take another life to go home. That's something you have to examine yourself. How would you deal with that, conscious wise, legally, all those other things. But as we were going through different techniques, she asked me at a certain point, like, if someone's trying to rape me, what if I let him rape me a little bit? And I was very perplexed. I was like, what? That's an option, to allow someone to rape you a little bit? Like, is that a time constraint, like 5 minutes or a certain number of strokes or something like that? I was very confused. One, that she had thought of that being a possibility during a possible rape scenario, that you might let someone rape you, for a little bit. And then the other thing, that you would yield and allow that to happen. Like, I've told people plenty of times, like, all right, the only way I'll get raped is if they got my corpse, because I'm going to fight tooth and nail. It doesn't matter how many people it is, how big they are. I'm going to do whatever I can. And I die, then I guess they can rape me, but I fought my fight. And they'll know they've been in a fight. So the thing is mindset. Once you have the mindset of what is important to you, what you want to live for, the value of it, and then the value of yourself, you can work towards that. That could be the same thing if you're in a workplace. If you're working somewhere and someone's treating you like shit, and you're there day in and day out, and they're just shitting on you, shitting on you, shitting on you, which a lot of supervisors do, or just even a toxic work environment. You have to be willing to war in that environment, which means that you're going to tell them like, hey, you may be my supervisor, but you don't run me. You don't tell me what to do. You don't treat me like this. You don't disrespect me. And facing that has consequences, but at the same time, so does allowing a person to take that power from you. So being a warrior is determining not to be passive, not to be meek, and not to allow people to go against certain principles that you hold dear. So that could be same thing where someone's in your area and they're disrespecting someone. They be harmed. They could be verbally or physically abusive. And a lot of people will turn a blind eye. They have this whole thing called the bystander effect, where someone will see someone getting beat up in a public place, verbally, physically assaulted, and people will wait and watch, thinking someone else will help them, or I don't know what happened, or it's not my place. Just the fact that that is happening in front of you, you should be compelled to act. And that happens once you define who you are and what you will be about. I've been in situations where people are being mugged around me, and I stopped muggings from strangers. TJ Bay can attest to that. I've stopped the same thing with domestic violence incidents around me, verbally and physical. And you just have to be very determined and resolute in what you will and won't let your life be. And you have to accept that. And then once you determine what you want to be, you have to work towards it. So what are some things or characteristics or people they can think of that have been warriors, and what's the importance of some of the things they fought for? We have warriors that are political warriors. We have warriors that fight for a whole bunch of other things. So what are some things that some of you guys can add or think of as examples of people who are warriors? If not, I can run down a list. I have plenty that I refer to often for quotes and inspiration and such. So anybody have anything they want to suggest as what is a warrior, or what does it mean to be a warrior? All right, so I'm going to go back to my list. I'm going to tell a little bit about Miyamoto Musashi. I'm going to go over some African warriors and warrioresses. Warrioresses. So first we have, let's go to Queen Inga. All right, so Queen Inga had the warrior spirit. She was interacting with the Portuguese. The Portuguese were trying to subjugate and control parts of her country, Angola, I believe. Let me double check. Queen Inga. Anyway, they were trying to subjugate her and her country. So she came to speak to them. She's royalty, and she was in Angola. She came to speak to them, and when she went to go speak to the Portuguese to negotiate terms, the Portuguese had laid out a mat for her, and they were sitting on, a nice fancy throne. So just the optics of this and the culture, I'm sitting above you and you're sitting below me on a lowly mat. That means that you're beneath me. I have precedence here. I have power here. So what Queen Inga did, not allowing herself to be demeaned, knowing that she's a warrior, she demanded, or she instructed one of her subjects to become her seat. So she sat on this person, which showed that she knew where her place was in the world, and that she wasn't going to let other people determine and subjugate her and, demean her and take away power from her. She empowered herself. So she sat there and negotiated with them. And actually, they were so impressed with her and the fact that she came in with such regal presence that she negotiated terms that were very good for her and her people. We went over Miyamoto Musashi. One guy that I've heard of in history, his name is Galvarino. He was a Chilean warrior, the Mapuche warriors, and it was very impressive. What they did was they actually, when the Spanish showed up, the Spaniards, they showed up and they chopped off his hands. So that's a very brutal act. It could be a fatal act, but nonetheless, it's very life altering. And what happened after he had his hands chopped off? They sent him off, back to his people to basically terrorize. There's supposed to be a message that other people are supposed to be afraid and fall in line. What Galvarino did, he actually fashioned blades to the stumps where his hands once were, and then he led a war party against the Spanish. So, he could have just died in the wilderness when he was had his hands chopped off. He could have given up on life. He could have said, "Oh well, I'm disempowered. The Spaniards showed me who's boss. I can't do anything against them." But instead, he fashions knives to his stumps and went back to get some righteous justice. All right. So these are just different examples of people who have fought and made a determination to be warriors. You have to be very sure about what you want to do. So the most important thing comes from mindset. Primarily mindset. You have to determine who you are and what you're about. Once you determine who you are and what you're about, it allows you to hey, we're just talking about what is a warrior. Oh yeah, you got MLK coming up. MLK and Malcolm X. Different approaches. All right. So we have Master Cliff over here on Instagram. He mentioned Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. They both were definitely warriors. They were putting their physical bodies on the line. The lives of their loved ones were on the line as MLK and Malcolm X fought. And the funny thing too about that, they were indomitable in their will and their just their fortitude. They didn't let things stop them. This is while being threatened. MLK had numerous instances where he's assaulted by people, threatened. Martin Luther King tried to keep, he kept firearms on him, and people were armed around him. So we're just talking about what it means to be a warrior and defining yourself. And this is for our upcoming meet and greet October 31st at Delaware Valley Sports Center, the Northeast. We're going to have a meet and greet where people are going to come together. We're going to talk about what is the importance of personal protection. We're going to talk about armed and unarmed tactics to protect yourself, kind of just a mindset. So if you're free, January 31st, come by. If you have questions about the meet and greet, just send me a message. Hey, Rios, Master Sanabria, ¿Qué pasó, maestro? And it's just impressive. So what are some people you think are warriors, and what do you think is important to be a warrior? What is a necessity to be a warrior? We said mindset, character. What are some things that help make warriors? What are some things that you're warring against? What are some things you're fighting against? Yeah, so as Master Cliff said, the mindset of a warrior is at the end. Some things are non-negotiable. Also, I'm not going to just give up. Bruce Lee had a famous quote: "You are only defeated once you accept defeat." So let's say someone beats you up, or let's say whatever the situation may be. Let's say you failed at a test. You only failed the test once you stop trying to pass the test. So I could fail a test once, I got a 20, all right, out of 100. I go back, get a 25. I still failed. I get a 30. Then I bring it up to a 65. Then I bring it up to an 85. And I may have failed the test several times, but at the end, I was successful. So I love that Bruce Lee quote about you're never defeated until you accept defeat. Same thing happens in any situation. You look at most predators, they're looking to, hey, what's up, Kamal? We're talking about what it means to be a warrior. How do you define a warrior? What are some things that you're warring through? Who are some famous warriors you like to speak about? What do you like about, traits from the famous warrior? So going back to the thing we were just talking about, what were we just talking about? We were talking about, not giving up, unrelenting. So most predators let's say it's a mugging or whatever situation. The mugger is not looking to get into a 5-round, 10-round, 12-round championship bout. The mugger is looking for a quick opportunity to take from you what they think they can take from you. And once you let the mugger know that is not going to be what they planned it to be, which was an easy task, the mugger will have to decide whether or not they want that work, whether or not they want that smoke, they want to put that effort out and the risk. So the same thing. Once you start making it very apparent to them that what they thought was the situation isn't a situation, is going to cost them more than they wanted, they're going to back off. And if they don't back off, then that's where you have to have the training and the will and the mindset to bring the tools to bear to be successful. Oh yeah, Umagazi, man. Umagazi was a warrior. Umagazi was a founder of an African martial arts style. You gotta be plugging out, but it's all family. His one of the tenets that Umagazi spoke of highly was indomitable spirit, concerted effort. There's no shortcuts, and you get out what you put in. A lot of people think there's like, oh, well, I want to learn self-defense. Can you teach me one move? Bro, it's not, or sis, it's not one move. It's a mindset. Once you learn the mindset, then you start applying the effort, and then you start getting the rewards from it. So you have to realize that there's no cheap fix, and there's no one size fits all for self-defense or to be a warrior. There's different ways to war. All right, well, Alex, hit me up offline, man. I'll be around this weekend. Once you're always one of my students, you're always in the family, so hit me up. Well, the funny thing is, Alex mentioned like, all right, allowing muggers to. They're telling muggers if you want to mug me, you're gonna have to like fight for it. Realistically, I only fight if it's life or death. So, that's a lie. All right. I only fight if I like to fight, but I don't like hurting people. So I'll give you chances. So like, let's say a mugger tries to come up and he wants to mug me. All right, cool. You want my money? If you got the drop on me, okay. 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna just give it the money because I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to break your legs or break your face or knock your teeth out or hit you. You got like a brain hemorrhage. You want the money? I'll give you that so that you don't have to go to the hospital or have a chronic lifelong injury. But at the same time, if you try to take my freedom or take my life, or depending on what it is, something else. But those are the 2 main ones. If you try to take my freedom or my life, I'm not going to give those up. You're going to have to work for that, and it's going to be a big task. You're lying. One of my old students here, Rios, is saying that I like to hurt people, Master Cliff. That's not the truth. I don't even hit people in the face unless I have to, because I don't want to mess up their face. Reconstructive surgery is very expensive, and I'm a nice guy. I don't ever hit people in the face more than I have to. I'm so nice when I'm fighting people in the street, or when I used to fight people in the street. I would give them the moral of the story and tell them what they did to get to this behind whooping, and then what they could do in the future not to get another one. So I'm like Aesop fables, Anansi, the trickery spider guy, but with bombs. Well, why Master Cliff? All right, so Master Cliff is on Instagram over here. Alex, he agrees with you, so I got to keep you 2 away. Alex is trouble, and then Master Cliff agreed. He's gonna make you into a human weapon. Master Cliff said Rios that he agrees with you that if someone tries to mug you, they're gonna have to get these hands first. So yeah, you 2 are never gonna meet. Yeah. I'm not familiar with that acronym. It's NERCAT. What does that mean, Kamal? What is that? Yeah, Alex is a rambunctious young man, so he's strong as a bull too. So you got to watch out for the guy. Alex, next time I go down and see Master Cliff, you should come with me. It's usually a good time. I mean, always a good time. All right. I'm setting myself up for failure. Alex, we gotta get you that black belt too, bro. You gotta start putting some work again. I know you were beating up black belts, but you gotta earn your black belt. All right, so let me go over some cool stuff from Miyamoto Musashi. Miyamoto Musashi was a warrior around the 1500s, I think, Sengoku period, and he had intestinal fortitude. He had very good vision, and he knew who he was and what he's about. So Miyamoto Musashi, by the age he was 10, his mom was dead and his dad was gone or maybe dead. He was growing up orphaned in a monastery, a Buddhist monastery. And he happened upon a dojo where he was sparring some guy, and a guy try to hurt him. So Miyamoto Musashi at 12 beat the dude down and killed him. He went back to the monastery, which was surprising if they let him back in. After he went back to the monastery, by age 16, he left and he was wandering around. He became a warrior. He was a hired gun, or not a hired gun. He became a warrior for a local warlord. So he was fighting in a battle, lost the battle. All his side was massacred, and he was the only one that wasn't massacred. Oh yeah. The Book of Five Rings is a book about Miyamoto Musashi. I think he might have wrote it. But it is a fantastic book of Five Rings. So he had several duels with his one family, which basically put him in notoriety. It was a Yoshiaka clan. Miyamoto Musashi wrote that book, The Book of Five Rings. So he went to go fight the oldest of the clan. It was supposed to be a duel, not to the death. So they both showed up with bokkens. Miyamoto broke the dude's arm with one blow, and then the guy was beaten so bad he left and then became a monk. He took him out of sword fighting. That's his whole life. He was a samurai, and with one blow, he's made him change his whole life. After that, the other brother's like, "Oh, I gotta get revenge. We gotta restore my honor." So he showed up to fight him to the death. So Miyamoto Musashi, being smart, one of his famous quotes, what is it? His quote is, "Perceive that which cannot be seen by the eye." So he's like, all right, well, this dude wants to fight me to the death. What can I do to get a good advantage? So he showed up super late, which is super disrespectful. And once he showed up to the battle, the dude was all, in his feelings. He's angry. Like, how dare you show up late to the duel? It's a fight to the death. You dishonor me again by showing up late. I'm going to kill you. So then he looks, and Musashi has a bokken. A bokken is a wooden sword, mind you. They're used for training. So the dude has his real samurai steel sword out, and he shows up with a wooden sword. So the guy rushes at him, and Musashi kills him with one blow to the head. All right. So after that, it's horrible. I'm laughing, but it's just so funny. After that, the clan is only left with one more boy who becomes a new head of the clan, and he's like 12 years old or something like that. He's prepubescent. So he challenged him to a duel to the death. So Musashi's like, yo, this 12-year-old wants to fight me to the death? This doesn't sound right. I don't know. So he shows up to the duel and early and hides. So once he's hiding in the bushes, sure enough, some shasty shit's going on. So the kid shows up with like a full battalion, not a full battalion, but he shows up with riflemen, bowmen, other swordsmen, and they all go hide and wait so they can try to kill Musashi when he shows up. So Musashi plays it cool like a cucumber. He waits until it gets late, and then he rushes down on the young boy. He beheads him, and then he pulls out his other sword and cuts his way through the other guys. So this became the turning point when he starts using his two sword style, which later became his signature. Master Cliff says Musashi had the warrior spirit. The people who fought were often born into Oh, that's a good point. All right, so the people Musashi fought a lot were aristocrats and samurai who were like born into it, or lifetime warriors per se. But Musashi started at age 10, and he was from the streets, as you know. So a street fighter is a lot different from a stable fighter, someone who's an athletic fighter, a sport fighter. And he was in there, doing it from the muscle, from the heart. And he just brought a different thing to the battle. He brought a different mindset, and he brought a different ferocity. From this battle, he went on to fight and, dismember all sorts of dudes, and he became known as the greatest swordsman in Japan. Yeah, he wasn't awesome, Rios. He was lying in wait with his riflemen and swordsmen and still got murked, which is so disrespectful. How do you set an ambush and still lose the fight? Like, that's like someone sneaks you and you just turn around and end them. Which has happened. That's happened more than once to me. So let me see. Let me look through a couple more. We're going to get ready to wrap up in a second. Let me see. It's like a kid born into money and then someone who earns the money. You respect it differently. Yeah. So Musashi didn't grow up. He wasn't born into it. He earned his skill and ability in fighting himself and through very dangerous and perilous things. So that put him at a different level than someone who was just raised into it. So we had this person. His name is Malankomos of Caria. He was in the early Olympics from modern day Turkey, and he was an undefeated boxer. He fought over 40 matches and never threw one punch. I was looking at the facts. I was like, how does dude an undefeated 40-0 boxer and he never threw one punch? The thing was that he had such superior ring IQ, fighting IQ, that he was able to outmaneuver and get people to punch themselves tired. And then once they punched themselves out, he would just make them submit by them not being able to fight anymore and him just being fresh and able to outmaneuver them. So he went, 40 fights through the Olympics, all sorts of stuff. And he never threw one punch, and he beat everybody just by having them tire themselves out and knowing that they were outclassed. So I thought that was impressive. Let's think of one more warrior. All right, this is a guy named Steve Biko. He fought against apartheid in South Africa. He was later murdered. He's a good revolutionary. If you don't know about Steve Biko, look him up. He said being black is not a matter of pigmentation. Being black is a reflection of mental attitude. Same thing applies to being a warrior. Being a warrior isn't about how big your muscles are, your six-pack, how much you bench press. It's not about, any of those things. It's about your mindset. To be a warrior means to see challenges, to recognize a challenge, and then push your way through it. It starts with mindset. It starts with defining yourself, and it starts with an indomitable spirit. You can't do anything without the will. And once you have the will, there's very few things that can stop you. Now, don't take that as like, oh, I just need to be, super tough and balls to the wall. After you have the will, you have to do this thing called build skills and refine them. All right. So we're going to get ready to wrap it up. We have January 31st, the meet and greet at Delaware Valley Sports Center is at 7 p.m. We're going to be talking about personal protection, armed, unarmed, firearms, weapons, and just a mindset, weaponizing your environment. Please come out. If you have any questions, just send me a message online or email me. Thank you, Master Cliff, for tuning in again. Thank you, everybody on Facebook Live. Rios, hit me up, drop me a message so we can connect up and get some things going. And that's pretty much it. Everybody take care, be safe. And I'm going to be posting some videos soon and be doing some different training techniques and montages. And I have some firearm videos coming up too. All right. If you don't know, follow me on Instagram, Hilo Defense, and then follow me on YouTube as well. All right. Have a good one. Take care, Master Cliff. Thank you very much, everybody on Instagram Live. Peace. All right, Rios, drop me a message later, and thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Have a good one. Always remember, bring success from within. All right, cool. That was nice. I forgot to shout out my dad.